in humans, the relationship with both parents is critical for most to emerge into adulthood as, as able humans, regardless of what sex we are. So, was it the loss of fathers in the family, the breakdown of the nuclear family, that contributed to identity politics? That's not one of the things that I tend to point to, but I think it certainly contributed. I often go a little bit more recently. I say, 30 years ago-ish, we start to have this perfect storm of postmodernism in academia gaining ground, of legal drugs being shoved at children, and it's different ones for girls and boys because we see different so-called failings in boys and girls. It's the screens, it's the helicopter parenting, but add into that mix having only one parent in a household, so that you don't have the tension, the back and forth, the ability for two parents to actually both have their eyes on a problem, be it a behavior that a child's engaging in, or whatever else, and discuss it. That's going to make things much harder for children growing up. I'm curious,
Jordan.
Yeah.
Sorry, Heather. Jordan, what about you? You've talked about the sexual revolution and its impact in the past. What do you make of all of this?
Well, I think there are two questions that are sort of importantly nested in your question, and one is the issue of identity per se, and why that's become a question. And then the second question is, why has identity politics arisen as an answer to that question? I would say the first issue has arisen because of technological transformation in large part. And you could say that reproductive technology and its consequent effects on the family would be one branch of that. But look, if you look at more traditional societies, and so let's say those are societies that aren't transforming technologically at the same rate that the world is transforming now, the issue of identity doesn't come up that much because there isn't much choice. You do what your parents did. If you're a man, you do what your father did. If you're a woman, you do what your mother did. And the question doesn't arise because the options aren't there. Well, now we have options. And we don't know how many there are, what the limits are, and we don't even know what the options are to some degree, because things change so quick, we can't even keep up with them. I can't keep up with my computer, let alone the world. I mean, it's so interesting, well, and distressing in some sense, and this is partly a function of age. I'm surrounded by gadgets I don't understand, that are changing faster than I can adapt to, that are smarter than me. And that's just one. And I'm actually fairly technologically astute, like I mastered computers, well, to some degree, at least I could use them when I was in my 30s. And, I was sort of on the edge of, I would say, the generation that managed that, at least to some degree. But the issue of identity comes up when the pathway isn't fixed. Well, it's not fixed. Okay, so then see, Nietzsche said at one point that the issue of morality per se, the question of what is moral, doesn't emerge until you compare many moralities. It doesn't emerge as a question. The question before that is what's right and wrong within a given moral system, not is there morality as such. That only comes up when the idea becomes questionable. Well, now we have this problem. What is identity? Well, and then because no one knows the answer to that off the top of their heads and has never generated an articulated and lengthy thought through response to that, someone can say, well, it's your felt sense of gender. It's like, well, oh, maybe. No, actually, that's a very small subset of what it is. That's a very sparse theory. But, your theory of a helicopter is sparse. And so, you know what I mean? If I asked you to draw a helicopter, you'd draw something like a 4-year-old would produce, because what the hell do you know about helicopters? And if you think identity is less complex than a helicopter, well, you're wrong. And so, the issue comes up because we have so many paths to choose from, and then these political answers come up and no one knows what to do with them exactly, because no one can articulate the rationale for the traditional modes of being. That's not easy, like that's hard.